All right, guys, so my FreedomFi hotspot miner has finally arrived. I actually received it about a week and a week and a half ago, and I postponed the installation of this because I'm new to the space, as well as I'm sure as you are if you're looking at this video. But there's a great detail of, or a great amount of things that you are going to need before actually getting this going if you want to set it and kind of forget it. But everything you see right here is all that you are going to need to get started if you're planning on getting into this space. Now, from antennas to installation mounts, if you plan on getting your antenna outside, you know, the type of cabling you're going to need, the other little smaller items that you see here. Now, all of this can be found in the description section below. I put a great amount of detail and information in the description section for you to follow. Now, there are a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to putting out your antenna outside, so you're going to want to make sure you check all that information that I have listed in the descriptions. Now, all of this can be purchased, most of it, besides the miner, can be purchased off of Amazon. There are Amazon affiliate links that I have posted below that you can purchase all of this stuff that you see right here, again, aside from the miner. Now, the miner itself, at the time of this recording, everything is sold out now. And there is a long waiting list in order to get your miner. So we're looking about anywhere between 12 to 20 weeks. Now, that has been extended because there's so much demand for this hotspot mining or helium mining. And so with that, I didn't want to wait that whole time period or that time frame. So I went ahead and purchased mine off a scalper from eBay. Now, this one right here cost me about $1,600, and that was shipped directly to my house. But hey, the normal cost is about $1,000 for this particular miner. Now, the reason why I went with the FreedomFi miner is because it has the already built-in capabilities of expanding to the 5G network, which is supposed to come in sometime in September or so. Now, we're gonna go ahead and unbox this real quick, see what you get with the FreedomFi Wi-Fi hotspot miner. And so let's go ahead and open this up. So inside here, you got your miner, which is very small in its form factor. You get your welcome card or greeting card to get you set up. Let's go ahead and take a look at this miner in itself. Now, it's got an aluminum body, very well constructed. We got our ports here, our WAN, and our 3 additional ports here. We got our antenna here, USB capabilities, and a console. So, yeah. Very well, very nicely made. Okay, let's put this aside for a second. Let's dive a little deeper. Inside here, we get our bracket. Now, like I said, I'm planning on putting mine in my attic, and this is going to come in handy when you want to do some type of wall mount. So, good to have. Also included in this kit are your power connections. Now, this is your typical computer cable power, so if you do lose it, break it, whatever, you can always use your typical computer cable to power up your device. One thing to note about this, the FreedomFi in general, this plug adapter, I had to do a lot of research. Now, this plug adapter right here is not your typical 5x2.1 adapter. So the center hole is going to be the if this were any other type of miner besides this one, is going to be a 2.1 millimeter hole. This one right here in particular with the FreedomFi, this is actually a 2.5. So if you're looking for adapters, which I'll explain to you in a minute, you're going to need a 5x2.5 adapter for here. A 5x2.1 will not work. Like I said, most typical miners out there, they come with the 2.1 hole right here. So just take note of that, because that's going to come in a minute. All right, so also included in the kit, we got our little standoffs, nut and bolt set, and our antenna. Now, typically with these antennas, they're great. They're about maybe 3 dBi. But if you really want to get into the space and you're serious about this, you're going to want to upgrade your antenna to something with a little more decibels, like the one you see back here, which I'll discuss in a few minutes. But it's great that they have this in here. Is it going to get you the most amount of money, the most amount of rewards? Well, probably not if it's inside your house. Now, you got to remember, the structure in your house does block some of the signal coming out. But in order to bypass that, we need to get outside and get our signal up in the air and out and about. So that's everything that comes in the kit right here. We're going to go ahead and put this off to the side and discuss the rest of these things right here. Okay, so off to my left right here, I have my internet connection or my LAN cabling. This is about 50 feet. Now, as I mentioned before, I plan on putting mine up in the attic, so the location is right above my bedroom, so I need a long enough cable to reach from my internet connection or my router or my computer all the way up and into the attic. So I went ahead and purchased a longer cable, typically your RJ45 connection, and this is going to be 50 feet. Now this is a little bit of an overkill. I probably only needed about maybe 40 feet, but they didn't have anything on Amazon that I could find in that range, so I had to purchase the 50-foot cable. But if you plan on doing an installation in your attic, you are definitely going to need some type of extension cable to reach all the way up to the location.
All right, so this next piece of information is only going to apply to those of you who are looking to do an exterior mount or have your Helium Hotspot miner within your attic or outside per se. Now, typically the way we connect this up normally is we're going to go ahead and plug the power adapter into here and plug this into the wall location within our room closest to our ISP service provider or your Wi-Fi router. Now, in my installation, I need to get power up into my attic because I'm not fortunate enough to have a wall plug within my attic dwelling. So I needed to find a way to go ahead and provide power to that location. How we go ahead and do that is with a power over Ethernet adapter, and that's what we have here, typically called a PO injector. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and plug in our cabling here in our downstairs location, and once we plug this in, this is going to provide power and data over our network cabling. Okay, so we go ahead and plug this into our router, and from our router we're going to go out to our attic location via the 50-foot cable here. Again, this is going to provide power over your LAN connection as well as data. The second part to the power over Ethernet or PO injector is you're going to need a receiver. What is the receiver? Well, this is typically called your splitter. And basically what it does is it receives the signal or power and data from our RJ45 connection into here. That signal is then split to our RJ45, and this would now be our new power adapter that goes into our hotspot miner. Now, as I stated before, it's very important that you take note to what type of hotspot miner you have and this connection here, because the FreedomFi miner, as I said before, has a different type of connection. This is a 5 by 2.5 millimeter connection. Now the outside diameter is 5 millimeters, while the inside here is 2.5. On your typical miners like the Bobcat or SenseCap, whatever you have, those connections right here is a 5 by 2.1. So if you purchase the wrong splitter, you're going to need to buy an adapter in order to fit that into our Helium hotspot, like so. Okay. With the Wi-Fi or with the FreedomFi miner, we also have a power requirement of 12 volts at 3.3 amps, 40 watts. So we have to make sure that we purchase the right splitter in order to deliver the correct amount of power. Now, most of the time, these typically will burn out after about 6 or 7 months, depending on what type of quality you have of a splitter. But in my description section below, I put in a list of items, these items here that you see, and that includes this splitter, which is a 4-pack. Now, I'm going to give this a test try and see if it can handle the power drain and see what the life expectancy of this is. So stay tuned for that, as I'll give you an update.
All right, so next on our list is our lightning arrestor. Now, the lightning arrestor, you can kind of consider this like your fuse. It's basically a protection system from electrostatic discharge. Now, typically, when you have dissipation of lightning or lightning strikes, doesn't even have to be your home or the home next to you, but electricity is going to float through the air and it's going to collect through your antenna here and travel down the antenna cabling and into your system, causing damage. The job of the lightning arrestor is to sense that electricity in the air as it travels through here and provide a cutoff point so as not to damage your equipment. Now, will the lightning arrestor protect your system from a direct lightning strike? No. There is nothing on this earth that is going to protect your system from a direct lightning strike. Okay. So the lightning arrestor, how it works is we go ahead and we fix this end onto the end of our antenna. The cabling then attaches to here and into your miner. This is connected to ground. Okay, so one thing to note about the lightning arrestor, there is a big debate on whether or not you need one, and that all basically boils down to your antenna. Now, there is a test for that, and that's beyond the scope of this video. I will produce another video on how to test your antenna to see if you need a lightning arrestor. The debate is, well, once you install the lightning arrestor, the incorporation of this in between those two brings down the decibel levels of your antenna, or the amount of power your antenna is able to produce. Now, typically that's from anywhere between 0.5 to 1, maybe even 2 decibels that it will bring it down. Now, that is a 9 decibel antenna and or 9 dB antenna. And if I install this arrestor in the system, that is basically going to bring my signal or radio power strength down to about 8 decibels or maybe even more. So like I said, a video to that to test your antenna on that to come, and I'll show you how to do that. But just for now, know that this is what this does. All right, so moving away from our lightning arrestor, we want to talk about grounding now, and it is very important that we discuss grounding and the proper requirements. Now, NEC, or the National Electrical Code, requires that we use at least minimum of a 10 gauge wire. So that's 10 AWG wire. Now, there's some debate on whether or not you need solid core or stranded. Now, I went ahead and did my research, and you can see from yourself in the description section below. I have posted the NEC electrical code as well as the NEIS, or NEIS, the National Electrical Installation Standard requirement for grounding systems. Now, this is 10 gauge, as I said, 10 gauge solid core wiring. This is the minimum requirement for grounding any electrical system. So there is a bit of a debate whether or not you need solid core or stranded core. Now, the deal with stranded core is that there are strands of wire in here, and in this one there is one solid piece of core wiring. Now, the stranded wiring is said to get brittle over time with flexing and bending, and those strands tend to break, causing an inferior connection to earth. So it is recommended that you use solid core, but can you use stranded? Yes, you can, according to the NEIS standard. So moving forward with grounding, you're always going to want to have a good grounding clamp. Now, this clamp is large in diameter. This is about 2 inches, and this is to go over my mast, which is going to be hoisted on my roof. So we're going to go ahead and fix this around the portion, or the larger portion of the bar here, and then we have our connection here, which we unscrew and stick in our cable wiring, and we're going to go ahead and run that wiring down to earth via a short path. So now for my installation, there is a copper plumbing spigot outside my home that I can fix my ground to. So this is my other smaller connection that fits around the spigot, around the water pipe, and so giving me a proper ground. Now, you can go ahead and ground to your plumbing. All plumbing should be grounded within the earth or should be buried within the earth, and it is a good ground connection. I've read about this in the NIST standard, so it is approved. Now, if your plumbing floats above, if you have an elevated home and your plumbing floats in the air, then typically you're going to want to go ahead and install a grounding rod. Now, this is a 4-foot, and by California regulations or the NIST standard, it should be 8 feet. But if you've ever had to drive one of these stakes into the floor, it is not an easy job, and it will require a lot of work. So, thankfully, my system or my plumbing is within the ground, and so I can go ahead and fix my ground to my spigot coming out of my home. Okay, so next up on our list is our antenna mast. Now, this is my mast. This is, I believe, is a 8-foot or 6-foot or 8-foot mast right here, and I'll have this in the description section as well if you want to purchase one. This one in particular, it is adjustable, as you can see on the end, so we can adjust the angle to and fro. Now, when it comes to antenna masts, they have various ones. They have ones like this. They have ones longer. It all depends on your application and your needs or requirements. They do have some that are telescoping. Now, just remember, once you get past about 65 feet, that you're going to have some type of tie down to keep this from swaying in the wind. Now, when it comes to mast grounding, you always want to make sure that this is the part that you ground. Okay, so this is where our grounding wire is going to fix to this via our clamp, or you can also ground it to the locations right here which hold on our antenna. Now, if your mast is painted, you're going to want to make sure that these metal portions, if you ground from here or whether you ground from here, that it is exposed, giving you good connectivity in case of electrostatic discharge or a lightning strike. Alright, so touching on the topic of cabling. Now, cabling is going to be the second most important thing next to your antenna that you need to purchase, and this is an exterior cable. As I said, this is going to be roof mounted onto the side of my home, and we're going to need something that can withstand the elements outside, and the LMR or Land Mobile Radio 400 standard is used for that. Now, this is a really thick piece of cabling. It's very non-flexible, and they do sell thinner cabling which produces the same quality as the 400 standard, but for my application, like I said, this is going to be outside, and it needs to be able to withstand the elements. Now, on your typical cabling system here, you have a male and a female. So, and how you can tell the difference is this portion right here. The larger portion is going to connect to our antenna, and this is the SMA, or I should say RP SMA male end, and that connects directly to your antenna. And on this side, we have the N-type female connector, and this is going to fit directly onto your Helium Hotspot miner. So, some good important notes there. Always pay particular attention to the quality of your cabling, as it might cause degradation in your signal. Up next, we have our antenna. Now, antenna is one of the most, if not the most important thing during your purchase. Now, this, as I said, is a 9 decibel antenna, and they come in various lengths. And from my research, the higher decibel gain that you go up, the longer this antenna becomes. They do come in short 3 dBs, 6 dBs, and so forth. So as the number increases, so does the antenna length. So this antenna length, I'm not quite sure how long it is at the moment. I will stop and put that in the descriptions as well to give you a general idea of how long this antenna is. Alright, so last up on the table, we have our coaxial stables, and this is going to provide us our cable management when it comes time to run our ground cabling and our coaxial cabling over here. We also have our aquaseal tape, which is going to provide us a watertight seal between our two connection points between our antenna and our antenna cabling. Now, this is not all in one inclusive video where it answers every single question, but hopefully I've alleviated some of the questions that you might have had in your mind that needed answering about getting into the helium space. Now, all this information can be found in the description section below, along with all the links to purchase all these products on your own. Now, I'm learning just like you guys, and if I missed something here, please let me know in the comments below. If you have a question and I can help you out with, again, leave me a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. As always, guys, I'm the chemist on crypto and crypto mining, and I'll see you in the next video.